So we are back with another Is It Doomed? We've got Jan from TeslaFix here who does great work on his own. This week we're discussing, even though it's part of a bigger company, we're talking Audi. Because, why not? It's a sub-brand, but it's a brand. I'm Brian. Welcome to my Tesla Weekend. Now
and I'm Jan.
And this is Jan. This is Jan right here.
Hi everybody. Just wanted to say hello.
Yeah, his channel, my gosh, only 35 videos so far, but talk about quality over quantity. Look at these guests. These are people, these aren't just thumbnails. Now, Elon hasn't been on his show. I should point that out. but all of you had Ross Gerber on your show with less than 2,000. It's all about quality. Check it out, man. Check it out. Okay.
Just like German Auto, I'm doing the premium segment.
Yeah, sehr gut. Okay, so we've got Audi, who has more electric vehicles than you might realize on account of over half of my viewers being in the U.S. They've got electric vehicles. Talk to me about them. How are they?
So Audi electric vehicles are pretty solid, I would say. I have a friend who actually owns an Audi e-tron. I don't know the number.
Q4?
No, the SUV. It's the SUV.
Yeah, there's a Q4, which is about Model Y size.
Yeah, of course. It's a Q4. And it's an Audi. What can you say? It's pretty similar to their internal combustion engine cars. But we have one caveat that I always criticize in the German OEM cars or German automaker cars is the software of their infotainment system and their navigation system and everything, because Audi is, of course, also a part of VW. And we also know how this group handles their software. They had massive problems with CARIAD. So Audi really much was struggling as well with software. So this is something I would give a big minus there. But overall, the car is solid. It's a German car. I would say, it's solid. It drives well. But I've also heard from my friend, if it's too cold or too hot, sometimes it has problems there, especially too cold. That's something. Yeah, the range reduces significantly as well.
So what I would point out is the Q4 Sportback e-tron starts at $58,000 in the U.S. with an EPA estimated range of 242 miles. Ugh. That's tough.
Yeah, that's pretty tough.
And I don't know if this is true. I read this as an article. I never saw any pushback on it. But Volkswagen apparently, when they decided they're going to bring all their software in-house, hired a number of software developers that I considered a little on the high side.
A little bit. Just a few
Now, what I would have done is identify all the critical departments and hire the best person for each one and let them build out their team. I probably would have ended up with 100, maybe 200 software developers, which is a little short of the 10,000 that they went with, that's like sending in all the king's horses and all the king's men to fix an egg. That's the wrong number for the job.
Absolutely. I can say something to this, maybe, if you like. Jim Farley recently had an interview as well. I've seen it on Twitter. It just was a short snippet, but he was talking about software, and he was talking about the suppliers of the software. So some of the suppliers are, for example, for the seats, to adjust the seats. That's Bosch, for example. And then we have a different software part from another company and another company. There are more than 150 different companies working to build one this software piece together. They are legacy auto companies treat software just like they treat their cars. They are supplied by software suppliers, and then they try to combine everything. And if you want to make changes of, for example, the seat control, you have to consult with Bosch to do this, and then you have to consult with every other 150 of those stakeholders. And this is the atrocity we have with that. But VW tried to put it more in-house, and they threw many programmers on this problem. But of course, now we know it didn't work out, and they canceled the Carrier project. So yeah, this is pretty deep. They're pretty deep in BS, of course.
And then they've got the Taycan carryover, that beautiful car. The Audi e-tron GT, it is, as far as I can tell, just the Porsche Taycan, but less attractive. I think the styling on the Porsche looks nicer.
Yeah, Porsche really is a different game in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what the differentiating factor would be with this car. I don't know how many of them they'll sell. Just go for the Porsche. But in terms of engineering, what are you giving them on a scale of 1 to 10?
I would say they're up there with BMW. The advantage of BMW in that sense is that they are more independent because Audi is part of the VW group, and they have internal struggles with their platforms, with their different platforms they were doing. So VW tried to have a unique, overall platform and a global platform for their whole subsidiaries they have, the different brands they are under the umbrella, but this didn't work out as well, and so that's why I would say it's from the build quality side. I would say they're near BMW. I would say, and
for the EV
I would say
aspect,
BMW has a little edge over them.
Yeah,
I think.
Well, you gave BMW and Mercedes a 8.
Yeah, no, not an 8.
So what would you give Audi?
Yeah, Audi would be definitely a 7.
Okay, and I gave them a 6, so we're pretty close. Okay. They've still got some room to improve on efficiency, and I think you're right that the bureaucracy of being tethered to the VW group, while it has its advantages, also has some disadvantages.
Yeah.
So let's talk demand. Global sales, 1.6 million. I mean, that's not too bad for a premium brand, for a sub-brand. Yeah, although 642,000 of it was in China and Hong Kong. Interesting. Which means that they
That's
are
what
building...
I meant. Yeah, with China. The last 2 episodes, I was talking about this shortly, that the Chinese market is pretty important for the German OEMs in general. So, but yeah, this is declining, and this is declining with software, of course. The Chinese really are into software. They love technology. And Germany is lacking massively in that sense, the German OEMs. Yeah.
Now that you mention it, the change in sales from 2021 to 2022 was down 8.5%, despite the fact that 2021 was a bad year. So that's a good point. So demand, boy, you're right. They might be a little bit struggling on that. Yeah. And if their flagship car is just a rebadged Porsche Taycan, I don't see enough differentiating factor there. So for demand on a scale of 1 to 10, what are you thinking? I'm going all the way down to 5. I'm going all the way down to 5 as well, I would say, in this sense. Because you have to remember, and this is very important, why did they choose the Taycan platform? Because they don't have a better one, actually. Yeah. Porsche is the only one of the group that really did a great job with their platform, and Porsche is treated differently than the rest of the brands inside of the VW group, because it's the most prestigious for the Porsche P family also, that is a huge stakeholder in VW. So it's a family dynasty. So Porsche, is really like the heart, like the sporty heart of the German auto. So that's why also because they pull also pretty good numbers in, and their profits are pretty good with Porsche. So Porsche has the most say inside of the group, and Audi isn't as good positioned in that sense. And I could see that Audi is a little bit slipping in that sense, because the positioning of the market is difficult with Audi now. They are not as premium as Mercedes. They are not as premium as BMW, and kind of are near BMW, but still a little bit lower. And I think now it shows that they use the same platform as Porsche to kind of give them an edge a little bit. But yeah, that's why it's not good. So on to cost controls. Now, while they have good free cash flow, I don't know if you've seen what their debt is, but it is astronomical. It's in the hundreds of billions range for the Volkswagen Group. And I think, now if we're just talking Audi, which I guess we should, I would say their cost controls are better than the Volkswagen Group overall, because they didn't have to, the Audi Group didn't even pay for the factory that makes the GT. That's the Porsche factory. But they still have, 1.6 million in volume to replace in their factories. I'd say their cost controls are pretty good, but not great, because they've got an awful lot of retooling to do. What do you think? It's real tough to say, because we're trying to break out one sub-brand from a much larger brand.
Yeah.
And I don't think that can be done. Maybe we should just assess Volkswagen Group on their cost controls. Do you think their cost controls are in order? Do you think they'll be able to make the electric transition?
So on the topic of the debt, I've looked into this a little bit, and this is discussed pretty controversial as well, I would say, because many people say it stems from the financing of the cars that they put to the customers. So
the leasing account.
The leasing, yeah, and many people lease their cars, yeah, and so
that's recourse
in that,
debt, so that doesn't count the same.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a little bit critical. Alex Voigt is also a strong voice on Twitter, and he says VW has a lot of debt, but many experts from the industry say no, they don't. They just have a lot of financing going on. So this,
okay,
yeah. So
what I'm seeing is it looks like if you include the leasing debt, it's hundreds of billions. If you take it out, they're right back down to a debt to equity ratio of 1.02, which is better than, slightly better than the industry average. So in that regard, I'm going to say it's probably overstated.
Yeah, that's what I would say as well. But this is like a controversial topic, so sure. I won't make.
So for cost controls, what are we saying?
I would say like a 7 or something like this.
I'm going to give them a 6, just because they have so many factories that they need to retool.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And in terms of cash on hand, they're looking awfully good. Historically, going back many years, if we go back to, what year is this? 2014, they only had 41 billion. As recently as 2022, they had 75 billion cash on hand. Now that is diminishing. It is down to a paltry $57 billion. That's a lot of money. Is it enough to retool all the factories? Maybe not, but you also have 5-10 years to get the majority done. I'd say cash on hand, they are very solid.
Yeah, you could say that, especially if you consider that they have a huge mothership as well.
Yeah.
VW.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go all the way to 9 for cash on hand. Little too generous?
I would say 8. I personally, I would say 8, just to be a little bit more conservative here.
Sure.
Because yeah, I'm not sure.
And then Audi plans to make EVs at all its global factories before 2030. Now it doesn't say exclusively, but
it doesn't say how many. Yeah.
And it doesn't say how many.
Yeah.
But that is part of their roadmap. The automaker will introduce only all-electric models beginning in 2026. So no new models that are not, but I mean, you can keep an old model for 10 years, and aims to phase out production of ICE by 2033. Aims to phase it out, okay, by 10 years. But prior to that, EVs and combustion models will be built side by side at the existing factories. So that's part of their roadmap. What do you think of that?
Yeah, with those roadmaps from German OEMs, right? Yeah, it sounds, on paper, it always sounds good. It sounded good, like the clean diesel. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's difficult to say that. I think the German auto brands really bend the marketing terms as much as they can. So, is it better than BMW? Yeah, I would say so, because BMW publicly said that they don't want, they want to have 50% of their fleet in 2030. I would say it's the same as BMW, I'd say.
Okay, well, you gave BMW a 4 for their roadmap.
Okay, maybe we give them a 5 then.
Okay.
To be generous.
I'm actually giving them a 6. I'm giving them a 6. Yeah. They also are considering building a U.S. factory to capitalize on the Inflation Reduction Act credits.
Yeah, the incentives, yeah.
Yep. But in doing that, they got to get their cars under... Their cars... It's too. I don't know if their cars would qualify. Their small SUVs might. Those only need to be under 80,000, which I think is very doable for Audi. So for their roadmap, I'm giving them a 5. So let's pull up the ratings. Let's see how we did. How do you think they fared compared to the other German brands we discussed?
In the same ballpark, but a little worse than BMW, I would say.
Yeah, so that is correct. It came in just under BMW and above Ford. So that's a pretty fair assessment. Audi, just under BMW. Not too shabby. Not too shabby.
Not too shabby, yeah.
Yeah, and they're ambitious, but they all are, and they've been saying this for at least 10 years. We're going to have this many models in a few years, always. And it's always, the number they give is always just after the average tenure of a CEO. So it's really not going to be my problem. It's the next person's problem.
So, and what they also do are doing some wordings. For example, that they say something like, we're going to reach 10 million cars in 2030. But they mean like not annually, but on the whole. And stuff like this. So they're very careful with this. I'm not sure if it was the BMW CEO that said this or the Audi CEO. I'm not sure who said it exactly, but one of those guys did. So this is what I mean. They are like the clean diesel. It sounds great, and
I've seen other CEOs do that where they say, we expect to have this many cars by this year, and you're like, total? Yeah, total. Oh, that's not as exciting. And I think they've got a long way to go in terms of getting the price down, efficiency up. Yeah. And I think you have to build a dedicated EV platform to do that. Yes. I think trying to make a car that can be everything is the wrong approach.
Yeah, and you have to. I think this is also a disadvantage because they rely so heavily on for example, the MEB platform of VW that they were trying to establish, but they have problems with their platforms, and they wanted to do I think it was called the Ultium platform or something like this.
Ultium was General Motors.
Oh yeah, Ultium was General Motors. I mean, I'm blanking out on the name.
MEB.
That was the current one, but the next phase was called differently. But that's why, for example, they use the platform of the Porsche now for some of their more sporty cars. But yeah, that's what I see. That's the huge disadvantage they have. They can't really move as fast because they rely on the whole group. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks to my patrons who get early access, bonus content, all that good stuff. Help keep the channel running. No exaggeration. Need you guys. I really do. And subscribe, do all that good stuff. And check out Jan over on Tesla Fix. He does great work. And let's take a quick look and see how these goofy AI images came out. These ones didn't come out goofy at all. They came out beautiful. Some of them were a little jumbled. But you'll see them when the video comes out. Okay, that one's not usable. But at least these ones don't have monsters in them for no reason.
Yeah. Like Mercedes had, yeah.
All right. Well, for everyone else, in the comments, let us know. What did we miss? What did we misunderstand? What did we get wrong entirely? Let us know. It's the only way we can get smarter. And and stay tuned, stay juicy, and I can't wait to hear from you. Clever robots on the flippity flop. Jan, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks everybody for watching, and see you soon. Bye bye.